on this holy day of the Super Bowl. I'm here actually talking about what's happening in the world and how our constitutional republic and our hard-won liberties are being circumvented and eroded and basically decimated. We are live. It is the holy day of the 6th of February, 2011, when the two tribal champions are set to face each other in an hour and a half in global warming ravaged Dallas, where the hospitals don't have power off and on, but the Cowboys Stadium, the religious temple, does. The religious temple of distraction and diversion from real issues. Hey, we're going into a depression. Our children have no future, but we get to have pat-downs by the TSA. Oh, that's right, they're there running things. And we get to be spied on, and the army is involved as we're bathed in tyranny. What's good for third world police states, what's good for fictitious 1984s, why it's good for America. And we're going to be going over all of that today. Homeland Security Secretary inspects. She's our Reichsfuhrer. The borders are wide open, but she inspects to make sure we're safe. Aren't we glad that Mr. Napolitano, like Mr. Maddow, are there to inspect us and train us to have government put their hands down our pants to protect us from the evil terrorist. We're so lucky they're there to protect the foreign banks stealing tens of trillions, and not just our children's birthright, but our futures. She's there inserting herself at the publicity trough like the fat, demonic government hog that she is. They're training us to not trust anyone but the government, the last group in the world we should be trusting. Homeland Security Secretary inspects Super Bowl site, says fans have shared responsibility. It's a responsibility to spy on each other and watch each other because of CIA boogeymen hiding in every jack-in-the-box. Here in the homeland, continuing Big Sis in the NFL, turned Super Bowl into police state. And we've got some of her announcements coming up. And here's the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, the 100,000-plus minions paying hundreds of dollars apiece to get in and watch a bunch of people engage in simulated combat. They get to have the government grab their genitals, and their children will be grabbed, of course, and be baptized into humiliation and third world tyranny, and learn how to be loaded onto the FEMA trucks and taken to that facility as the government trains the military for that. TSA will keep an eye on the Super Bowl for everyone's safety. CNN reported this first in 2009, and it's a 3-year tradition. They're now doing it yet again here. So obviously today we are going to be covering this report for you and going over it, because I saw some other reports here talking about what a great American pastime it is that Americans don't have jobs anymore, and that the Steelers don't have steel mills anymore, but that people give pints of blood to get the money they need to. They give their blood all year and save up the money to be able to go to the game. They have no country, they have no industry, they have no Bill of Rights and Constitution, but CNN says, you know what? They can go feel pride through the overpaid steroid heads on the field, that when they're not gangbanging or fighting dogs to death or running around cussing on national TV, they're there keeping us safe. So it's just wonderful. Of course, there's nothing wrong with a football game, and I admire, obviously, athletes, but things have swung too far the other way on the pendulum, and we need to realize that we need to have some priorities here on this religious holiday. Now, I haven't gotten to the really big news yet, but I will get to that. I never thought I'd see the White House on their front page respond to a PrisonPlanet.com article, but they've done just that. We'll tell you about it straight ahead.
Alex told you the government announced recently that the recession is over. It ended on June of 2009. The millions of Americans unable to find work might not agree. Perhaps the recession ended for the bankers and government employees, but for the rest of us, things seem to be getting worse. Gold and silver haven't heard the news either. They've begun their long-expected journey to the moon. In addition to converting your shrinking dollars into gold and silver, you should consider a food savings account from eFoods Direct. They both make fabulous investments. Food is our greatest dependency, and we know it will be more precious than any financial resource. You and your family need food to survive a crisis, and you can't eat paper, stocks, or metals. Alex has been urging you to invest in delicious, easy-fix meals to enjoy now or save for long term. This will freeze the cost of your food while you can still afford it. Visit efoodsdirect.com on the internet or call 800-409-5633. That's efoodsdirect.com or 800-409-5633.
The Genesis Communications Radio Network proudly presents The Alex Jones Show, because there's a war on for your mind.
Well, I am committing blasphemy today. For many Americans, I'm doing a live radio broadcast during the holiest day of the year. We don't really find God to be holy or important anymore, or the family, or our test scores, or our health, or our Bill of Rights and Constitution, or our dollar. It's all in decline, a usurped, captured country taken over by the foreign offshore central banks. But we've got our Super Bowl that roughly 70 million Americans are going to tune into today, and kickoff is in an hour and 25 minutes in the global warming ravaged Cowboy Stadium with collapsing tents from snow and hospitals not having power. But believe me, the holy temple, the taxpayer paid for temple to Jerry Jones, it is standing there. And Homeland Security in 9,000 locations, putting in telescreens, ordering you to spy on your neighbors, on other shoppers. People are paranoidly calling the police at Walmart where they're putting these in repeatedly for having cell phones, talking on them. We're learning that land of the free, home of the brave means being more Soviet than East Germany, being more 1984 than Big Brother. Fort Worth Telegram is reporting the TSA is running things, not just airports. So they've announced nationwide warrantless checkpoints. They have you and your family drive under super high-powered X-ray scanners. In fact, I have a news clip on that. They don't worry about the TSA workers being fried by the radiation, doing it daily, or the citizens driving under it. The government waves a magic wand, just like they did 20 years ago, telling U.S. troops you can now use depleted uranium munitions. The Army's own reports on it admit that you get one whiff of it, it will reduce your life expectancy by about a third. But hey, what's a young 20-year-old breathing it, dying when he's 45 instead of 75? Hey, it's freedom. Hey, having TSA-trained goons stick their hands down your 5-year-old's pants at the Super Bowl, that's freedom. That's freedom to keep you safe from the vicious Al-Qaeda. And so I will be getting into the Super Bowl religion today, and I will commit the ultimate sacrilege, the ultimate abomination of evil. I will actually talk about what really made this country great, the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and the fact that that's been eroded by design. And I will talk about the dollar devaluation and the attacks on liberty in our country. During the last 30 minutes of the broadcast today, I may even commit a bigger abomination and read the Bill of Rights and Constitution, or parts of it on air, during this holy day, where we know all about the football scores, and you try to go to the store and pay for gas or go to the grocery store. Everybody wants to talk to you about the big game. But if you bring up to them loss of sovereignty or dollar devaluation or hyperinflation or the police state being set up with the Patriot Act, they look at you like you're a crazy man. That's right. Well, I'm a crazy man. You see, I actually care about liberty and freedom. And see, a lot of people think that liberty and freedom is like some nebulous thing, that it's only activists that care about it. Well, when you've had freedom so long, it's almost like our country doesn't have an autoimmune system. Here's a parallel or a parable based in history. 500 years ago, roughly, when Europeans showed up in the New World, Native Americans or the indigenous populations had never come in contact with smallpox. And so what would only kill a fraction of Europeans that came in contact with it because they developed immunity over generations, or those that were susceptible had died, those that weren't susceptible had passed on their genes. When the Europeans arrived, millions, it's estimated, of natives from what is South America, Central America, Mexico, and, of course, further north into North America, all the way up into Alaska with the Inuit Eskimos. Millions and millions died because they'd never experienced smallpox. And that's kind of what Americans are like. We've never really experienced hardcore tyranny. We've had the incredible birthright that our forebears fought and died for. And so now hardcore, systematic, admitted, prima facie tyranny and corruption is here. And a lot of people are getting a little concerned and waking up, but they still don't know how serious it is. And so tyranny is so alien, hardcore, systematic Nazi or Soviet-style oppression is so alien that now that it's clearly manifesting itself and transcending political parties, it's the bureaucracy and the ruling political class that's the problem. The parties are just different chapters of the same organism, that we are in deep, deep trouble. Let me give you an example of tyranny. You see, if you have an all-powerful government that can do whatever it wants, so there's no Bill of Rights, no Constitution, no separation of powers, and you have an executive that can do whatever they want, it doesn't matter if Congress didn't pass the Kyoto UN Protocol last year, or the last 5 times before that they tried to ratify it, going back into the early 2000s. But now under tyranny, the president can just order the EPA to go around the country, and he's done it in the last 2 years, shutting off power plants in Kansas, South Dakota, Georgia, North Carolina, and Texas, and many other states. And then, have you noticed all over the country, your power prices have gone up? Mine have roughly doubled in the last 2 years in Austin, and Austin Energy admits that that's part of their target to cut carbon, is charging you more money. Of course, those are privately owned companies that they're involved with, and they're making big profits. And it did come out this week that Obama is putting even more greenhouse gas tax limits and controls on plants, except for General Electric, which is the biggest builder of the coal-powered plants in this country and worldwide. They get a waiver on the plants they build and the plants that they own. Do you think when folks want to invest now, they're going to invest with General Electric? Total mafia. And it has nothing to do with the rising seas and, oh my gosh, carbon dioxide is going to kill us. It has everything to do with selective enforcement, just like I've talked a lot about. And, of course, who's the new head of the economic board that makes all these decisions? The former head of General Electric is now the head of Obama's administration when it comes to economic situations. And, of course, you have seen the 500-plus waivers and counting given out to major global corporations. They don't have to get health insurance, but your company does. Another unfair trade advantage. See, Obama's not a liberal. He's not a conservative. He's not a communist. No, he is a corporate front man there to make you think there's a difference between the two major parties so that we'll all fight with each other and, like a football game, choose what party we're part of. And so basically the parties can act like they're fighting with each other but move the ball down the field against we, the people. And so now if you wonder why your apartment bill on average was $200 and now it's $400 on average, or you wonder why your house bill was $500 on average, is now $1,200. Well, understand, that's because they've shut down power plants all over the country, and they've restricted plants from increasing their power output or expanding. And big mega corporations have bought up smaller city-owned utilities, like the old Holly Street in Austin that could supply about half the city, and shut it down, automatically making their profits go up because there's less energy. You know, Hugo Chavez, they have more oil than the U.S. Per capita, per square mile. They have more coal, but they don't have power half the time. He does that because it's how he controls the population. And that's why we've had rolling blackouts all over the country. And that's not just my opinion. The Heritage Foundation has done an analysis.